Good morning, everybody. I had everything on mute. So good morning to everybody. It is 1:45 in the morning. I'm wishing you all a good morning in the UK. And for those of you up listening in, this is BWTM Sports, and we're going to be talking about a few boxing topics. Topic number one is Roy Jones Jr. Topic number two is the super fight that nobody can see coming. Okay, let's talk about Roy Jones Jr. Apparently, what you saw in this video here, there's video clips of Roy Jones throwing very fast combinations, or for his age, throwing very fast combinations, showing the damage he's going to do to Mike Tyson. We all know, well, there should be a new tune out for Roy, and somebody needs to sing it to him. Roy must have forgot. Roy's throwing all these punches on these pads. Good morning, Leif from Yorkshire. Hope all is good. If you're from West Yorkshire, Leif, it seems to me that they're saying from Tuesday there's going to be a lockdown in Yorkshire. So for those of you that are in Yorkshire, there's going to be a lockdown. It's not good up north, so it's not really good. The lockdown begins for you guys first. Not good. But anyway, sorry about that, to break that news. It's Tuesday, they said the country's going to go into that part of the country's going to lock down. I hope all is well with you anyway. It's back to boxing. Somebody's got to sing a song to Roy. Roy must have forgot. Roy must have forgot, the pads don't hit back. Roy must also have forgot who he's fighting, which is Mike Tyson. And Roy must also have forgotten that he's been knocked out several times quite badly by guys who really are not noted as big punchers. Danny Green, certainly Glenn Johnson's not known as a big KO puncher. Antonio Tarver, you wouldn't say is the biggest one-punch knockout artist in the world, but he did Roy Jones. So Roy's been knocked out brutally by some guys who are not noted as punchers, and that's a concern. That's a concern that he's been wobbled by and knocked out by guys who are not really legitimate big one-punch knockout artists. They've done it to Roy, but Roy's chin's not the greatest. So Roy must have forgot about that. Another thing Roy must have forgot about is that apart from pads don't hit back, Mike will hit back. And where Roy's throwing all these flashy combinations, if you watch carefully, when he's throwing them flashy combinations, we know what Mike is like. Mike can slip under them shots and throw a right hand over the top. He can come back with a left hook, and Roy's chin is out there to dry. See if Roy's throwing them big punches, them hooks, them right hands on them shots. If you got to look at the videotape, Roy's looking to get himself knocked out, I swear. Mike could knock Roy out in the first round. Mike could literally knock Roy out in the first round. Even at 54, Mike could knock Roy out in the first round. What happens if each guy, for argument's sake, fights on muscle memory? We've seen Mike. Roy's generally been the guy who's got the advantage with the faster hands. Now, in the situation with Mike and Roy, who's got the faster hands at heavyweight? It's arguable. You could say that Mike. You could say that Mike has got faster hands than Roy. His punches will get to Roy faster, probably. And Roy puts combinations together, but Mike does it much more explosively than Roy, I would say. And Roy, for the most part, you could say the thing with Mike. Roy, for the most part, fought a lot of guys who never had hand speed as fast as his own. So Roy's always had the advantage of having the fast hands. In a situation there was somebody who Mike's got just as good fast hands. And not only that, Mike's got explosive power in the left hand and the right hand. And Mike has a habit of making people miss and making them pay. You've seen when he fought guys like Orly Norris, where they're short, and Buster Matthews, guys that are short, Mike gets close to them and he can explode 3-4 punches off up close. Roy is playing with fire. Them punches that Roy's throwing may look good in the pads, and them combinations may look great. Just remember, Mike will be slipping under them shots, slipping over and around them shots, under them shots, and coming over with hooks. And Roy's chin is right on the line to get hit. You go back and look at what Roy's doing. Roy's planting his feet and throwing them shots. He's not bam throwing shots and slipping away now. This is not Roy Jones of back in the day in the 90s. And even that Roy Jones would have problems with Mike, because that Roy Jones would still get clipped. Because at some point, Mike's going to land that right hand, and when it lands, Roy's going over on his back, and that's it. This could end in the first round. I'm telling you. It could end in the first round. Does Roy hit hard enough to hurt Mike? Like, I don't know. The only thing is, with Mike, again, we don't know what Mike's punch resistance is like when he gets hit back hard, what he's going to be like. But remember, Roy fought a heavyweight, and he couldn't knock out John Ruiz. He couldn't even knock John Ruiz down. And John Ruiz, if Hay dropped John Ruiz, David Tua knocked out John Ruiz in a round. So, it is what it is. I'm a bit concerned that Roy, when he fights Mike, will be. I think Roy's going to be fighting off of fear. I'm telling you now. Roy's never fought anyone in his career that punches like Mike Tyson. He was explosive like Mike Tyson. Roy's always, like I said, he's always had the advantage of having speed. And Roy's technique is based on speed, reflexes. And Roy's reflexes have gone. Do you understand? So all that stuff you see him doing on the pads there 20 years ago looked great. He can get away with it. He's still doing the things here. Roy's not realistically thinking about what Mike can do to him. Mike's going to hurt Roy. Mike's going to seriously hurt Roy. Even at 54, he's going to hurt Roy. Because you look at Mike, and the way Mike is punching, the way Mike's form is, Mike is still using his head as form as defense. Mike is still getting his head, trying to get his head off the line. Mike is still trying to use those explosive movements. But if you look at what Roy's doing, Roy's using muscle memory, but he's not using his brain, because Roy has been knocked out so many times. You'd think, well, okay, I've been knocked out X amount of times, and now I'm going to fight Mike Tyson. I'm going to go kamikaze. All my reflexes are shot, but I'm still going to try and do the things I did 20 years ago. If you look at Mike looks sharp. Mike looks sharp. I don't know how long that sharp this is, but if that's 30 seconds, if Mike can give me a minute or 2 minutes up close, Mike and Roy on the ropes. Roy in the ropes. If Tarver can hurt Roy and hit Roy in the ropes, and Tarver's not the fastest in the world, Glenn Johnson's not the fastest in the world. You think about the guys that have knocked out Roy Jones, Enzo Macronelli, the guys have knocked Lebedev, Danny Green. Do you look at those guys? For all the speed Roy's got, they've all able to clip him and all able to knock him out. So you're telling me Mike Tyson, who's got a two-fisted attack, great head movement, and devastating punching power, is going to have a problem with Mike Roy? Come on, man. Come on. This is not good. Roy's setting himself up to get laid out. Left hook or right hand. Take your pick. Take your pick which one. Because he's throwing them shots. So if you look at where Roy is here. Do you see where Roy's throwing that punch from? Do you see where the head is? That's a right hand he's going to land there. Yeah, even well, there you go. Look where Roy's right hand is. Look where Roy's right hand is. Look where Roy's left hand is. He's throwing that right hand there. He's got all that open. Would you bet? Would any betting people out there? That's how Roy's throwing his shot, and that's Michael slip under that. And what's going to happen to Roy? Before that punch even lands, Roy will be on the deck with his hand in the air, trying to throw that punch. Roy's got a lot of bad habits, and when you get to his age, when everything's speed reflexes have gone, that's where you get hurt, and that's why Roy's been getting knocked out all over the place. People who would never got knocked out by is getting knocked out by now. So just pay attention, people. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the super fight that nobody wants to talk about. And I'll tell you what that super fight is. Let me see if I can get that up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Can I get that super fight up for you? The super fight nobody wants to talk about, but could be on our doorstep shortly. It's this fight. Errol Spence against Canelo Alvarez. Yep, you heard it right here. Should Spence get past Danny Garcia? You heard it right here on BWTM Sports exclusively. If he gets past Danny Garcia, right? Spence. If he gets past Danny Garcia, Spence, and Canelo does make the move to PBC, we could be looking at Errol Spence versus Canelo Alvarez. The fight was trying to be made beforehand, but because of the handlers of Canelo then, the fight wasn't made. But what a super fight would be between Spence and Canelo. Spence his walk around weight is 160 pounds, so he's naturally a middleweight walking around fighting at welterweight. So it'll be interesting to see how Spence and his body fights at 160. Whether he's able to soak up punches at 160, and whether he's durable at 160, whether his punching power is good at 160, whether his durability, not durability, he can do 12 rounds good at 160, whether he's going to get bullied around at 160 or he can hold his own at 160 strength wise, whether he can use the skill set that he's got at 140 or 145 or 147, 145, where 145 come from, 147, whether he's a weight bully or not. The way you find if a guy's a weight bully is when he moves into other weight classes and tries to use that same bullying tactics, where they end up happening is getting pushed around. So yeah, this is a very good point you've got here, Liv. He says, I like Spence Jr.'s self-esteem, but we still all wait and see how he is post-car crash. I think, well, Derek James might not admit it, but I think they're putting new teeth into Spence's mouth. So I'm wondering if that's got anything to do with the sparring, because he hasn't done any sparring yet. Every time I ask Derek James, has he sparred yet? Nah, he ain't done no sparring yet. So I'd like to know why they haven't done any sparring yet. I don't know. Maybe it's not right yet, or time's not right yet. I don't know, but I do know Spencer's going to get a new set of teeth put in, implants. I heard, and I remember Gail Falkenthal, who also now is on TMZ every week, TMZ Sports actually. She was talking about the implants, and it wouldn't be good for Spencer to have implants in his mouth. Not while he's a pro fighter. So yeah, something to think about for you all. Something to think about. But Spence versus Canelo. This is the reason why I believe Spence needs to forget about Crawford. Everyone's talking about Crawford being a super fight. But when you think about it, what has Crawford done at welterweight to be a super fight? If you're talking about Crawford, the only thing you surely talk about Crawford is what he did at light welterweight, his accomplishments at light welterweight. And they're not to be scoffed at. He was an undisputed champion at light welterweight. Was it lightweight? Super lightweight? I don't know. He was undisputed champion. It was light welterweight. He was undisputed champion. It was light welter. And that's great. You can't knock those accomplishments. But as a welterweight, he's really done. His record's been pretty poor. It's been pretty unimpressive. And he's not prepared to fight the best there is out there. He's trying to fight has-beens and guys that really don't matter, and who cares about them. So he's joined the who cares them club. And every time he fights, people care less and less about Crawford. Crawford doesn't sell tickets. So for a super fight, he doesn't sell tickets. He doesn't have a personality to sell tickets like that. Do you understand? He fights, but that's it. I don't think he does anything to push his brand. You know what I mean? So you've got Spence here, who does pull in money at the gate. And it would really rely on, for Spence Crawford to happen, it would rely heavily on Crawford's pulling power. Not Crawford, Spence's pulling power. Because we know Spence has got big pulling power in Texas. So his pulling power would be key to that fight. And another reason why that fight will be made, because if Spence comes to the table and say, listen, this is what I draw in every one of my fights. You can just about get people to sit down. You have to pay people to sit down and watch you fight. Me, people come watch me fight, and the gates are good. So I don't quite know where Crawford is in this. So Crawford Spence now is not a super fight for me anymore. How can it be a super fight? Because he ain't fighting nobody. At least Spence is coming back out of the accident, coming straight back and fighting Danny Garcia. At least he's doing that, and then he should be respected for that. But Crawford is nothing. He's got nothing to be respected for. What are people respecting Crawford for? For beating up on Jeff Horn, for beating up on Amir Khan, for beating a guy that Ray Robinson beat more convincingly. For beating up a blown up, guy in Gamboa. I don't know. I don't know. So if Canelo were to leave PBC, leave for PBC, could we see Spence v Canelo? According to Derek James, we did the interview with last week. Derek James said to us that in a few months' time we could find out whether Spence versus Canelo is a real fight. Because as soon as Canelo hits PBC, you know that's the fight people are going to want to see. But you think with that as PBC as well. Just think that a second. If they get Canelo over, to PBC, just for a second, you could see Pacquiao versus Canelo, the last fight of Pacquiao's career, fighting Canelo. You could see Thurman versus Canelo. You could see Porter versus Canelo. You could see Garcia versus Canelo. And you can start fighting guys, pulling guys up from other weight divisions to fight him. And you can see that happening. You can really see it happening. And wouldn't you rather do that? But then if you're at PBC as well, then the likes of Charlo brothers, you get fights against the Charlo brothers as well. There's fights there as well. So if he wants to fight a middleweight, then you've got big twin Charlo there. Do you understand? So there's fights to be made for Canelo. Canelo would be best advised to leave Dead Zone and come to PBC. Forget going to top rank. Who'd have got a top rank? Needs to come to PBC where the action's at. So, those are my thoughts. I'm looking forward to Spence versus Canelo. Let's see. First, Spencer's got to deal with Danny Garcia, which I don't think is going to be routine. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. So, we'll wait and see. And then after that fight, we'll see what's going on. All right. Thank you all for watching as always. Hey guys, I like Spence. Oh yeah, the car crash, of course. Right. I think that's it from me. Thank you all so much for watching as always. This has been BWTM Sports Gaming. We'll see you soon. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave your comments. We're out. Take care.